1. The illusion of progress. Modernity has been sold to us as the pinnacle of human achievement, a time where everything is at our fingertips. We are told that we live in the best era ever conceived. Medicine has advanced, information is instant, and convenience has become a way of life. From the outside, this age looks like the final form of civilization, polished, connected, efficient. But when the screen turns off and the noise quiets, many are left with a gnawing question: why do I still feel so empty? We measure advancement by how quickly we can communicate, but not by the quality of what we say. We marvel at machines that think faster than humans, but overlook the rising loneliness in a generation with thousands of online friends, but no one to talk to at 2 a.m. We have maps for every road on Earth except the road back to ourselves. Progress, in its modern form, often equates efficiency with wisdom and comfort with growth. But the soul does not thrive on convenience. It thrives on purpose, on struggle with meaning, on moments that cannot be downloaded or delivered. The illusion lies in the belief that progress is purely external, a matter of better tools, faster systems, higher speed. Real progress, the kind that heals and elevates the human condition, begins within. What good is a smarter phone if it distracts us from our own thoughts? What use is a global network if it severs our connection to the people beside us? We become faster but not wiser, richer but not happier, surrounded by noise but starved for truth. This is the illusion that just because life looks better, it is better. That more options mean more freedom, that more control means more peace. But the most dangerous lies are the ones dressed as obvious truths. And in our age, the most seductive one is that we are better off simply because our tools are newer. We may have gained the world, but we must ask ourselves, in this pursuit of progress, have we lost our way? 2. Lius, the broken promise. From the earliest moments of our upbringing, we're taught to believe in a simple story, that life moves forward, that progress is linear, and that with each passing year, things inevitably get better. Study hard, get a good job, buy a house, stay productive, and happiness will follow. Advancement becomes our creed. We are told that each new innovation, each economic milestone, each upgraded system is another step toward a brighter, more fulfilling existence. But at some point, quietly, often without warning, the cracks begin to show. The career doesn't satisfy, the house doesn't bring peace. The endless chase for more becomes just that, endless. And yet, the story we were given never adjusts. It only tells us to run faster. If economic growth was the cure for discontent, why do developed nations report record levels of anxiety, depression, and loneliness? If technology makes life easier, why are we more overwhelmed than ever? Why do people with more options than any previous generation feel paralyzed by choice and uncertain about their future? The truth is that the promise of progress was incomplete. We mistook innovation for evolution. We built machines but forgot to build character. We optimized systems but neglected the human soul. In the pursuit of external growth, we ignored the internal decay, and now we are surrounded by comforts yet deprived of contentment. Ancient thinkers warned us of this trap. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." What have we done with the time our progress has supposedly saved us? We fill it with noise, distraction, consumption, a shallow imitation of meaning. The broken promise is not that progress itself is a lie, but that it was never meant to replace wisdom, connection, or purpose. These are not things you can mass produce. They are cultivated slowly, often through discomfort, reflection, and restraint, the very things modern life encourages us to avoid. We are conditioned to believe that the more we do, the more we buy, the more we accumulate, the more complete we will become. Leisure is now considered laziness, unless it's earned. Rest must be justified. Even self-care is marketed as another productivity hack, a way to recover just enough to work harder tomorrow. In this paradigm, the soul is neglected. Stillness becomes foreign. Silence feels threatening. Our inner world, once considered sacred, is now a distraction from deadlines and devices. But true living is not a matter of how much we can accomplish in a day. It is found in presence, in connection, in the quiet moments that hold no measurable value, but shape who we are. We were not made solely to produce. We were made to reflect, to feel, to wonder. Philosophers from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius urged us to question the systems we serve. Ask yourself, Marcus said, is this essential? In redefining life by the standards of industry and economy, we risk losing the very essence of being alive. Digital platforms prioritize attention, not intimacy. They favor performance over presence. Conversations are reduced to emojis and reactions. Relationships are filtered and curated. And in the process, we've traded genuine connection for constant exposure. Comparison has become unavoidable. Social media, a space once meant to unite, now quietly fuels insecurity, envy, and the fear of missing out. We see the highlight reels of others and mistake them for truth. We compare our behind the scenes with their best moments and wonder why we feel so alone. Despite the appearance of closeness, loneliness has surged. We are surrounded by noise, yet starved of real understanding. It's possible today to be in contact with hundreds and truly known by none. Connection, in its truest form, cannot be mass-produced or digitally replicated. It requires vulnerability, silence, eye contact, shared time, the very things that technology often pushes to the margins. Stoic wisdom reminds us to seek what is lasting. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, Seneca wrote, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. We keep waiting for the next message, the next notification, the next like. And in doing so, we lose the present moment. To reconnect with others, we must first reconnect with ourselves. That begins when we put the phone down, look someone in the eyes, and ask not what they posted, but how they truly are. 5. Knowledge without wisdom. We are drowning in information and starving for meaning. In the modern age, knowledge is abundant. We carry libraries in our pockets, have answers at our fingertips, and are bombarded by endless streams of content. But this access has not brought the clarity we expected. Instead, we find ourselves lost in a sea of noise, scrolling endlessly, consuming without absorbing, learning without reflecting. Wisdom, once the goal of knowledge, has become a casualty of speed. We rid not to understand, but to keep up. Attention spans shrink. Curiosity is replaced by algorithm-fed suggestions. Reflection is abandoned in favor of reaction. What we now call knowing is often just memorization of headlines, regurgitation of opinions, or shallow familiarity with complex issues. But true wisdom is slow. It requires silence, contemplation, and often discomfort. It is not found in trending topics or viral videos, but in the quiet struggle to discern what truly matters. Ancient philosophers taught that information must pass through the fire of experience, humility, and introspection before it becomes wisdom. Without that process, knowledge is hollow. It may impress, but it cannot guide. As Socrates warned, the unexamined life is not worth living. In a world that prioritizes quick facts over deep truths, we must resist the temptation to confuse access with insight. Real growth lies not in knowing more, but in understanding better. 6. productivity as identity. The modern world has replaced being with doing. We are taught from an early age that our value lies in output, in grades, performance, hustle, and achievement. As adults, this belief calcifies. Identity fuses with career. Worth is measured by busyness. The first question we ask strangers is, "What do you do?" As if the answer defines the soul, work has expanded beyond the office. It follows us home, fills our phones, interrupts our rest. The line between personal time and professional obligation is almost gone. Free time is no longer free. It must be justified, optimized, or monetized. But constant productivity comes at a cost. When we become machines of output, we forget how to simply exist. When rest feels like guilt and stillness feels like failure, we are no longer living. We are surviving on autopilot. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he was not his role, but a human being first. Yet today, we fear that stepping back means falling behind. We idolize the grind even as it erodes our peace, our relationships, and our inner life. We must remember, we are not defined by our labor. We are not the sum of our tasks. A fulfilled life is not built in back-to-back meetings or inbox zero. It is shaped in presence, relationships, creativity, and purpose. To reclaim our identity, we must detach worth from work and learn again how to be, not just how to do. 7. The hunger that never ends. Modern society runs on desire, not the kind that nourishes, but the kind that never stops asking for more. Consumerism has become our new religion. We are told to chase happiness through acquisition, to define success by possessions, and to measure our worth through what we own. Advertisements do not merely sell products, they sell identity, belonging, and purpose. They whisper promises, "Buy this, and you will be complete." But the satisfaction never lasts. Each purchase offers a brief hit of excitement, quickly followed by emptiness. What once felt like success soon feels inadequate. A new version appears, a new trend emerges, and so the chase begins again. This cycle is not accidental. It is engineered. Capitalism depends on dissatisfaction. If people ever felt truly content, the system would collapse. So we are fed an endless stream of messages: upgrade, replace, improve, compete. The result? A spiritual malnourishment. We accumulate more and feel less. Storage units overflow while inner lives shrink. We confuse abundance with fulfillment, forgetting that the richest life may be the simplest one. The Stoics taught that freedom lies in needing little. They warned against the tyranny of desires. In contrast, the modern world teaches us to want more than we need, and then to work endlessly to afford it. Until we break this cycle, the hunger will never end, not because we lack, but because we've forgotten what truly satisfies. 8. The disappearance of the present. We are always preparing to live and never actually living. Modern life keeps us suspended in a constant state of anticipation. We're taught to chase the next milestone, the next job, the next holiday, the next achievement. The present moment becomes a mere stepping stone to a promised future. But that future never fully arrives. It keeps moving forward, just out of reach. We wait for the weekend to feel alive. We wait for success to feel worthy. We wait for retirement to finally rest. Life becomes a waiting room, and we forget we are already in it. Technology amplifies this effect. Notifications pull us into imagined futures. Social media encourages us to curate moments, not live them. Productivity culture tells us that the now is only valuable if it leads to something later. Time becomes currency, and we are always spending it elsewhere. But the truth is simple and ancient. The present is all we ever truly have. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste time on what you cannot control. The future is uncertain, the past is gone. Focus only on what lies before you now." To reclaim life, we must return to the moment, not in some abstract sense, but fully, to taste food without distraction, to listen without checking the time, to be where we are, not where we think we should be. Presence is not a luxury, it is a rebellion against a system that wants us distracted, hurried, and waiting for meaning. The moment is the only place where life is real. 9. The crisis of connection. Human beings are wired for connection, yet in an age of endless communication tools, meaningful bonds are harder to find. We live in crowded cities and scroll through endless faces, but still feel unseen. Relationships have become transactional, built on utility, performance, or superficial appeal. The sacredness of true friendship, once valued by philosophers and sages, is often replaced by convenience and self-interest. Time, our most precious resource, is devoured by obligations and screens. Conversations grow shallow. Presence is rare. We are physically close but emotionally distant. Even within families, even in romantic partnerships, a quiet loneliness often lingers, unspoken and unnamed. Society celebrates self-sufficiency as strength. We are told to need no one, to depend on nothing but ourselves. But this ideal of hyper-independence is a lie that isolates the soul. Stoicism values inner strength, yes, but not at the cost of human warmth. Marcus Aurelius found solace in companionship and reminded himself that people are meant to live for one another. Emotional connection is not a weakness. It is a requirement for a meaningful life. Without it, the heart grows cold and the spirit drifts. To heal the crisis of connection, we must become intentional again. With our time, our words, our attention, we must learn to truly listen, to risk vulnerability, to show up not as curated versions of ourselves, but as we are. In a world where everything moves fast, love, friendship, and empathy are radical acts of resistance. 10. The inner void. Perhaps the greatest casualty of modern life is not what we've lost outwardly, but what we've abandoned within. We have grown strangers to ourselves. From a young age, we're taught to chase goals, perform roles, and live up to expectations set by others. Success becomes a costume we wear, while our truest self remains hidden, neglected, unknown. We are masters at achievement, but amateurs at introspection. The result is a subtle, persistent emptiness, a sense that something is missing, even when everything appears fine on the surface. The world encourages us to patch this void with more work, more money, more status, more stimulation. But none of these soothe the ache. In fact, the more we chase, the more lost we feel. Because the solution has never been out there. The inner void is not a flaw, it is a signal. It invites us inward. It calls for silence, self-inquiry, and spiritual honesty. The ancient Stoics understood this. Epictetus said, "You are not your body or your possessions, but your choices and your soul." To heal this emptiness, we must return to what is essential: stillness, purpose, self-knowledge. We must learn to be alone without being lonely, to find value not in how we are seen, but in how we live. Only by facing the void do we find what it has been pointing to all along, that what we were looking for was never missing, just buried beneath the noise. 11. The need to awaken. This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a quiet collective crisis. The sense that something is missing, that we've been sold a dream but are still awake in the nightmare of shallow pursuits, is shared by many. More than just a few individuals feel the question stir within them, is this all? It's a quiet whisper that calls from the depths of the soul, and often it's met with silence, a denial, or a numbing distraction. Yet, that question is a gift. It exposes the fundamental truth that we've been chasing the wrong things. It illuminates a deeper longing, one that cannot be filled by material gain, instant gratification, or external approval. The longing is for something authentic. It is a hunger for meaning, for a life that is lived deliberately, rooted in values that go beyond the superficial. It's a call to be true to ourselves, to rediscover our innate wisdom, and to connect with something greater than our individual selves, something timeless, something eternal. We are not mere cogs in a machine. We are human beings capable of great depth, love, and purpose. Yet, we've been trained to settle for less. The modern world drowns out our inner voice, pushing us toward a hollow version of success, while our hearts yearn for real substance. If we are to change anything, we must first understand that the system will not change for us. We cannot wait for society to provide meaning or purpose. We cannot expect fulfillment to come from external sources or fleeting trends. The path to peace and clarity lies in our willingness to step outside the noise, to create space where we can hear our own thoughts, feel our own emotions, and reconnect with the core of who we truly are.